So Andrew, this should all come back to you. Actually, I think Rachel, have you been to all of them? I think you've come all 7 times. I think you have.
So,
Evan, you might have too. You guys are amazing. Did you? Okay, so uh, looking back, this is our 7th meeting. Our first year and 7th meeting. Before we begin, I do want to make a land acknowledgement and just offer gratitude for the ancient and present stewards, caretakers of this beautiful place. Offer gratitude to the Mono and Yokuts, First Peoples, and set the intention to always keep that critical awareness of what it means to think with place-based education and decolonizing early childhood education. Okay. So looking back, I kind of just curated a few slides, and one of the first things I know that I wanted to touch on in the fall and continue to want to think with is making these synaptic connections, these neural connections in our minds, spirits, emotions, bodies around connecting creative reuse with climate change. And at its most basic, reusing items means less energy is needed to extract, transport, and process materials to make new products. So extraction is not an area that I've been able to approach with children yet. I know it's being done with some of the reconceptualist feminist researchers in Canada with some South American country collaborations. Definitely integrating indigeneity into it. But lately I have been thinking a lot about this current historic moment. And I mentioned this last time, as the world order is being shifted and we might be looking at some hard financial times ahead, how might Remedio really come to life in response to this increasing necessity to reuse materials, should they become too expensive or scarce. So creative reuse cultural education might be meeting its moment here soon. So one of the first things we thought about together was the humble beginnings of a concept. And in this case of the Remita concept, the Reggio Remita inspired concept. And this is an image from Inventing Remita Portland, where I started out engaging in this inquiry for 4 years as the co-coordinator of the reuse center. And we started out from scratch for the most part. And so this is an example of starting out from scratch, which is not too far from where we're at with Remedio right now. And in 4 short years, it really blossomed. And now it's continuing to blossom out of Portland State. This is the humble beginnings of Remita in Italy. I'm so glad that I stumbled upon an educator, a director of a child development center in the Dalles, Oregon, who scrounged these up to show me how incredibly humble Remita was. And I believe this is 2008. Although the project started in 1997, so I don't quite understand. Maybe this was the first big recycling center. And then here's Remedio. This is almost sort of pretty much what it looks like today, maybe a little bit neater. Remita, Reggio Emilia, Italy. I believe this is when I went in 2006. So quantum leaps over the years, 2008 to no, 2008 to, no, I went in 2016. What am I talking about? Okay, so 8 years later. That's amazing. So I saw, here's an image of Inventing Remita Portland, like I said, blossom in 4 short years, um, under the guidance of the the advisory committee, like what we've formed. Um, and then Remita Italy in 8 years. It's hard to believe that it became that sophisticated in its formation. So a lot has taken place over the last year. We secured a space in Kremen. It's actually not connected to the Huggins Center. It's its own space, independent of the Huggins Center. So we've gotten that figured out too. Uh, it took a minute to free up the space, but it was freed up in April of 2024, so a year ago, almost exactly. We had our first fellow, Aaliyah, who created our Instagram account, which is doing, it's going, and has pretty much documented all major events. We were donated the shelving, which was huge. Rachel worked on your master's project in Reggio, and we're currently working on getting that published. And I started to source some donations, and I'll share some updates on that here in a minute. So then the whole time it's really been this idea of how to get this grant, and Andrew really helping me to understand, and Laura Rabago in Kremen, the steps that we need to take, and not to put the cart in front of the horse, so to speak, as far as securing a grant. And once we do that, then we can become recognized as a center, work on a logo, develop a website, and we'll be recognized. So some updates on that in a minute. Looking back, which is really important for us as early childhood educators, as important, I think, is looking forward, is I realized that we did this epistemology, or thinking about our thinking in terms of the display of these materials the entire year. I only meant to do it for like one meeting, and it was like in 3 parts. And the third part was in February, when the Huggins Atelierista came and shared documentation of her trip to Remita, Italy, and images of their display and exhibition of the materials. So there's Aaliyah, our first fellow, and she'll be coming back as a teacher credential student at Fresno State here soon. We have our Instagram set up. I took time in the last year to show how I developed a way of sourcing materials for Inventing Remita Portland. And I've been thinking about this more too in this historic moment, as President Trump talks about, his vision of reinstating, manufacturing in the US. I've really come to understand that I didn't know a lot of the history of how we became less and less of, a manufacturing company and outsourced it. But Italy still manufactures, and that's where Remita gets all those incredible materials. We don't in the US. So I organically, that led me to finding local businesses that were sustainability minded who donated materials. What that's going to look like in Fresno seems to be more and more, in my mind, sourcing our materials from families through the Beautiful Stuff Project, and a little bit of businesses mixed in as much as possible. But I don't see a whole lot of manufacturers or large scale amounts of materials, which is fantastic and pedagogical in its own right for children to see that scale of material. But it's just, we're just a tiny remedio right now, remedito. So here's an example of sourcing metals from a campus bike shop at Portland State. I would go and get the cart, the blue cart, and wheel it up to the lab school, and then we had a campus event where children were invited to make tiny bicycles out of these parts. So just kind of that idea of the life cycle of sourcing the material and then engaging children and families and teachers and community members. Another time that we met, I shared, again, this idea of beautiful stuff and asking ethnic studies pedagogy students. Rachel accompanied part of this project and collected some data to collect materials, having kind of scaffolded for them what this concept is, to source reuse materials from their homes, embedded with their identities and their stories. And they brought them to class, collected them over the term, and then, and this is the book, Beautiful Stuff, that details how to go about this Beautiful Stuff project that's Remita inspired. They did reuse portraits of themselves, of each other, and then we looked at the Delta smelt as an endangered species here locally, and they made representations out of their reuse materials. And there's Rachel and Aaliyah were then helping to process quite a bit of material that they, two classes brought in the Remedio Center. And here is Rachel's research title of your research. And we're currently in the process of looking to get it published, which is exciting. Just submitted it. Okay, so an example of thinking with the epistemologies of display very much became an ongoing thing of, where do we get containers from? Do we want to buy them new? Do we want to try to get them from families? How involved are we going to be with the Huggins Center? And so the containers are actually kind of a showstopper if you don't have them. So just kind of thinking about the materials that we want for this tiny little space, and how to make it as efficient as possible, which a lot of Remitas in Europe, in Germany, they have one that's about it's tiny. So it's interesting how they layer and how they the epistemology of design so that they can put a lot in a little bit of space. So for us, with our space and our identities, what factors come into play when considering how to exhibit, store, and display our materials in our context with our identities and our unique constraints? So a few updates. In March, Michael Ballin from the Student Cupboard, he coordinates that. I believe he's also a professor at Fresno State. The sustainability analyst who came to one of our meetings helped to connect us, and he donated a ton of containers, which I wheeled across campus to Remedio, and here they are. I think they're flower pots and some buckets that I can put in the bicycle, because one of my goals is to have it be carbon neutral transportation of the Remedio materials. So there's a little example of how the shelves are fitting into the shelves. And then this was a donation from an upholstery shop, and there's more of that available. The only other update is I am working with Fresno State grant office to apply for a Kaplan grant. It'll be at least $20,000. The deadline is May 31st to submit, and basically the Kaplan, I think, is a perfect fit because they're really into, if you're not familiar with it, they're all about innovative materials in early childhood. So I think it's a really good fit. I'm getting some help learning how to apply for a grant, and looking for a partner organization who will sign off on an intentional collaboration to use the dollars to really get Remedio off and running. So one of the things I was hoping to take some time to discuss tonight is what I asked at the very beginning in the fall. What calls you to this creative reuse cultural education project? Um, and also, what would you like to learn about next year when we have this pedagogical piece? What would you like to see? In-person workshops? So I just wanted to hear a little bit from you about how it's gone this year, um, what keeps you coming back, what you'd like to uh, do together, that sort of thing.
Uh, if I could make a couple recommendations from my standpoint, with Kremen, I think it'd be really great to have some um, like uh, notable events or other newsworthy items that we can publicize just to
Mm.
get some of the work that you're doing published more broadly, whether that's to an internal campus audience or being able to share that with the community. I think greater awareness in the community will only help further your opportunities for collaborations. Uh, and so I think that'd be something that I would really appreciate or would like to collaborate on to figure out how we can best sort of share that story, and maybe think about a branding or marketing aspect for the program.
Also, I think I'm not sure if I mentioned this before. It's just kind of to some activity. Maybe that ties to what Angel just mentioned, this great idea. You know, it can be the great graduate students and ECE students or the multiple subject credential program students. Um, kind of I don't have the details yet, but I just kind of having the idea that having these students involved,
Mm.
that kind of activity. And you mentioned this is independent from Huggins, but this does not mean Huggins children and parents and teachers should not get involved, right? So they can actually totally be involved. And that's also tied to Andrew's idea as well. In a way that cannot integrate, actually. Maybe we can discuss later for more details, but next semester. Well, is this the last meeting for this semester?
Mhm. Mhm.
Right. So to kind of the connection and the and also bring people from different perspectives and from different programs. I get that will make the center more meaningful.
Yes.
Yeah.
I did fail to mention that Heaven and I have been working together. I've been visiting your classroom for a couple months, you and your co-teacher, and our now thinking about how to collaborate on a Remedio inspired project in your classroom. So yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, that's a great idea.
Mhm.
Heaven, are you working there permanently or how? I don't know if that's okay to ask in this space. Feel
No,
free to decline.
no, it is. I know since the last time I was in your class, I think I was still just a substitute or student, but yes, I've been given a permanent position as a lead
Oh,
teacher.
great. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Because in my memory, and I know Rachel was in my class too, in my memory, you were not permanent yet at that time
Yeah.
when you were in my class. So that's a good update. I'm glad I asked. So, yeah, great. And Dr. D is gonna work with you for that, Romito. This is great. Because permanently really makes big difference, when you work with as a permanent position instead of just, it's very different responsibility and different opportunities as well. So I'm so glad to know that. Congratulations.
Yeah, Heaven and Dulce, is that your co-teacher? Are doing, if I can just share my perception, are doing have been doing a quite a long-term project on gosh, did it start out with animal habitats or and then turn into masks?
Yes, it was originally just about animals, then moved to ocean animals,
Mm-hmm.
then puppets. Now it's masked. Now it's evolving more.
And so what they've been doing in the time that I've been visiting, one of the things, and Heaven is just rocking it as a co-lead. I'm so grateful to be in that space with you guys, practicing the principles of social constructivism and Reggio inspired documentation. Oh, it's so good. But doing the project where I've never gone in depth like you have. And it's all kind of like connected and like webby and like it's so good. But reading the classic stories from multiple perspectives. So the three pigs. Only sometimes the three pigs or the three wolves and they switch places or there's an entirely and so you can see the children. I've been watching the children kind of process it, in this 3 to 5 year old mixed age classroom. And essentially what I was saying to them is you guys have got to like, you guys need to publish this because I want to share this with um my teacher credential and master students. This is a beautiful way to teach criticality and thinking with multiple perspectives, and how they've scaffolded that concept for the children. It's just been absolutely glorious, and I really really want to share it with my students. So then if we can infuse some reuse materials into these beautiful inquiries, uh, that'll really be wonderful.
That gave me an idea. Sorry, is that okay? I just keep going for
Yeah,
another
go for
idea.
it.
I
Get it.
know, Liz and Rachel may have some ideas. So that inspired me to integrate, this Vygotsky stuff. You mentioned scaffolding, but scaffolding is not really Vygotsky, but this play world. That sounds very similar to what you mentioned about Heaven's the three little pigs and the I don't know if you have it. Did I teach play words before in your class? I forgot. Um, so
What play worlds?
play words is the play, imaginary play that based on Vygotsky's cultural historical theory that involve children, teachers, and parents.
Ooh.
Very cool. It's very in San Diego. I think they had a lab before. But it's not like everywhere. It's rarely no, but it's something very cool. And they in Australia, in Switzerland, I forgot. There's some places in Europe. They
Hmm.
have this lab focusing on the research on play worlds. My advisor previously, she had a lab on play as well. So that sounds very similar to what Heaven have been actually doing, but maybe just need to add some of the elements from that type of play worlds. So my idea was maybe we can sit together one day, one day to integrate this remedial, this material stuff, and the play world ideas. Um, and because it's imaginary story, they have this um, phases and processes to follow. Maybe we can start from there sometime next semester if you're all interested. It's just a kind of emergent idea when you were talking about that. Maybe very different, a very interesting to explore something like that, to integrate all these ideas together.
And that's what I love about the reuse materials is we've been discussing in Heaven's class, and I know Rachel was exposed to it too, this Lillian Katz's professional stages of teacher development. And so, you know, the first few years, survival and then consolidation, renewal, it's like, and mastery, when you integrate, infuse these discarded materials into anything, it's almost like instant renewal, right?
Right.
Because it's like, what happens when you mix reuse with everything? I love that idea.
I just was wondering what your vision is. I don't think I've ever, I guess, fully understood. Is your vision for how community is going to play a part in this? So are you looking for a center or a Remedio that will be open to the public? Is it open to just Kremen, the education Huggins Center? What is your vision about what this looks like? Because I have a couple ideas if it aligns with your vision.
Well, I mean, really, it's our vision is, you know, I mean, it's been a journey of sorts because I came from a community in Portland where there was a lot of Reggio inspired centers and educators. And then through the model school where I worked at for 8 years in the Remeda Inventing Remeda Center, then we were exposed to larger and larger global communities. And so I came, and I think I talked about this maybe last time. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I did. I came to Fresno with like horse blinders on, I realized, looking back. I thought I would just the project was meant to uh feed the Huggins Center in my mind because that's all I ever knew, right? That's how I was brought up in it. In literally housed in the center at Helen Gordon Center. And so when that hasn't happened, I started to go, okay, I really need to have a plan B. And so I tried to partner with Live Again Fresno. They serve homeless children in East Fresno. Beautiful project. That kind of fell through. Then I tried to partner with El Dorado Community Development Center, but they don't really have very many children involved in their after schools, and it's an after school program, so that kind of faded. And so what's happening now is that I need to partner with a early learning community in order to get the grant, in order to get this thing off the ground. And so then it struck me Clovis Community College is Reggio Emilia. I mean, there's no other Reggio Emilia inspired that I know of. Maybe you guys know, but as far as I can tell, it's Huggins Center and CCC Lab School. And so, as I expressed to you, Liz, my desire is, you know, hopefully maybe to partner with you guys. And then obviously with the constraint of the space, you know, there's that, but eventually I would like to move into a larger space and serve like the larger community, kind of like Remeda in Italy. Uh, because it's schools, teachers, children, families, and community members. But so I don't know how it will unfold. I would like to get hooked up with the American Indian Health Center and make materials available to their after school program. But I'm kind of just like groping in the dark here because my plan exploded.
So, because when I worked at Fresno State 20 years ago, and I partnered with Fansler to create workshops that the teachers did on things. So that would be one way of opening it up to the community as far as teachers and getting them on board. As far as we have also at Clovis Community, we did workshops on a Saturday morning on loose parts, and everybody that came, we gave them the loose parts book. And we showed them what they could do with loose parts, because I think it's education too, right? You're not just
Yes.
opening the center, it's about educating the community about what they can do with this, with these
Yes.
beautiful things, right? And so part of the grant might even be to buy the beautiful things books, to
Yes.
be able to give to any educators that want to come to a workshop on a Saturday, because teachers love free stuff. I mean, that's universal. And to give up a Saturday, but they will be able to leave there inspired into how they can do it and, bring it to their, but that also might be a partnership where you can develop connections as far as in our early childhood community, to partner with them to bring loose part things or things for the center to you in partnership. Then they could shop there, or that kind of thing. That's looking down farther down the road, but that might be something where people now know that you're there. It'd be nice to offer it the workshop or something somewhere near the center, and then you can show them what the vision is. And then people can drop things off once they know, because for me, I would need to see it to be able to give you stuff for the center. Because I need to see the space. I just need to see what you're looking for. And then it would start clicking in my head about things to do. And so that's when I do curriculum. Right now I do one of my classes, I have them collect things in a box that they're going to do a loose parts activity with later. And so it's just thinking about that, and I remind them and I show them pictures of what loose parts looks like, and that kind of thing. So it gets them thinking.
Yeah, when at Inventing Remedial Portland, we actually developed, oh God, it's been so long, I forget what it, set 1 and set 2. I got the Oregon trainer thing, and we could actually give credits. We charged a little bit, but we had like a whole series of Remeda courses. So I love that idea, Liz, that you're right. And one thing my dissertation highlighted was these materials are paradoxical. They're very forgiving, but they're also very demanding. And so some teachers get a little bit uncomfortable because they're so open-ended. And so there is a certain comfort that needs to be developed through hands-on practice. You learn by doing.
Yeah. And that's what we did at the workshop, is we talked about it, and then we actually had them explore the loose parts and create with them so that they would feel comfortable offering it to their children. So
yes. Does California do set 1 and set 2 professional development? Do you know?
I don't think so. I've never heard of that.
Like what was it? ORO registry? Do teachers get like professional development? You know how teachers have to have a certain amount of professional development each year?
Yes, 105 hours for a 5-year permit.
Oh. Where do they get those professional development hours?
They could do workshops, classes.
Oh, just in the community? Does somebody in Oregon, there's a organization that coordinates all of that?
That'd be nice.
Really? Okay. Huh.
No, you kind of have to keep track of it yourself, and then you turn it into the teacher credentialing department.
Teacher credentialing.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Yeah, they kept track of it. Huh, okay. Well, what do you think, Rachel?
I don't have any new ideas to add. All of these sounds like fantastic on point ideas for expansion for the Remeda. I don't have anything significant to add to it. That sounds like a great start.
Is there anything that you'd like to see as far as the philosophy or learn more about?
Not in particular. I think all of these ideas were outstanding and on point, all things that would be interesting.
Mhm.
As far as opening to the public and well, although I did think as far as events that was first brought up, like a Remeda Day, that could be even open to the public in like something we discussed potentially for my project, which was having a small stand outside, not necessarily within the Huggins, but something more broad and open to people passing through stuff like that, sort of after the Remeda Day.
Yes, 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 yes. Um, what do you think, Heaven? Do you have anything you want to learn more about or ideas for or what keeps you coming back?
In all honesty, I was really interested in the professional development and workshop. I was thinking, again, you quite literally have at least 10 teachers right next door who would be more than willing to participate in a workshop, especially if it went towards our PD hours.
Okay.
Because I know that, again, they hear about certain stuff, but being able to sit and learn from you about what you're doing and understanding what's quite literally down our hallway would be so beneficial for us. And then I can only imagine if you want to do something a little bit more open to invite parents and students to do is, if you could rent or claim ED 54, which is right across the hall from you, and make it essentially the best way to describe it is just fill it up with reused materials and have it open to the children can come in, they can play and they can engage and parents can see essentially and have physical examples of what you want to do with the center and what you want to do. So that way parents and educators can come and see like, oh, this is what we're supposed to do with them. Like these are the materials they're out. Look at the kids engaging with them. This is the idea. So that way they can have the physical concept of it just because I think if they just see the center itself, the Remedio room itself, it might be a little hard for them to grasp. But if you give them a room where they have those provocations essentially already set up and they're just entering a room like this is what we're imagining, this is what we want. So kids can come in, they can play, they can engage, parents can come and be like, oh, this is what's going on. Teachers can have ideas of what they're gonna do. Like, oh, this is what I can have as a provocation. I can put this in my own classroom and do. I think that would also be a really good opportunity to give that visualization of this is kind of an end result of what we want.
Yes, 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 yes. Like a multisensorial. I love that. Andrew?
Oh, I was just going to mention that for events and programs, if there is like a speaker who would be, especially someone in educational leadership that can speak to um, Remeda in practice in an educational system, um, you don't need to just focus on the ECE side of Kremen. We have a lot of administrative programs and educational leaders that are part of other areas of Kremen that I don't think it would hurt um, to bring a speaker or to have an event that's maybe oriented towards a working system, and then partnering with either our administrative credential program, the Welty Center, or our educational leadership doctoral program, um, as, as like an event to invite those folks to, because they like if you want to affect top-down change or invite educational leaders from the Fresno Unified and Fresno area, that might be beneficial for really getting awareness of the program out there. And I really love, Heaven was mentioning professional development. I think that would be an amazing thing to partner with our school districts, because there's been other projects that I've been a part of that have been really working with school districts to try to promote information related to curriculum. Not specifically related to early childhood education, but if there is an opportunity like that on a weekend that can be developed in partnership with the school district, as a way to improve curriculum or really get sustainability in the classroom as something at the forefront, that might be a bite that the school districts might be interested in, and the teachers would appreciate, professional development opportunity as well. But that I don't know what the most recent best practices are, but that might be a benefit for the program as well. And that might be something that would be a good selling point within your grant writing, if that's something that you're offering.
Mm-hmm.
And then I would just mention, we have other programs in Kremen that are looking for brand awareness and on campus specifically. But in your grant, it doesn't hurt if there is some funds for, marketing or branding, as we can have ways that'll kind of give us an opportunity to develop like an advocate or an ambassador program of classrooms or teachers who maybe are putting this into practice, whether it is, our current students, or it's students or it's teachers in the field that are currently practicing.
Mhm.
And those folks in like actually teaching in classrooms, utilizing Remedio or the Remedio practices, I
Mhm.
think will help build awareness in the Central Valley. Because before we're blessed with your presence, this was not something that really had an awareness at all in the Central Valley, as something that the concept is, I think, is a really great selling point, but the philosophies, I think, were not really exposed around here.
Mm. Hmm. Wow, that's such good stuff. Thank you guys. You're like the best advisory committee ever. Um, hmm. I think this will be a turning point year for us, and I hope that you saw how slow the growth is, but how it does actually, when you stop and reflect, you see how it is slowly gaining momentum. The shifts are taking place that are necessary for it to grow in all these incredible potential ways. Um So that being said, I guess I'll be in touch with, I'll be seeing all of you, and we'll go ahead and I'll have more grant information come fall. And see what if we can't start to get some of these seeds to sprout. Thank you guys so much for coming and for keeping the dream alive. I appreciate each of you so much. And I look forward to some in-person hands-on time together with the materials, because this is a relationship-based project. All right, anything before we go? Bless your hearts coming at 7 o'clock on a weeknight. Oh my gosh, I'm so grateful for you guys. Thank you. I'll see you guys soon.
Bye-bye.
All right, bye.
You're
Diane, or
still
sorry, Dr.
recording.
C. Oh.